Friends, let us start the new topic, valuation of goodwill, valuation of shares and valuation of business. In this context, let me remind you one part of this topic earlier also we discussed, like a valuation of the goodwill. When we say valuation of the goodwill, this is not the first time you are looking at the valuation of the goodwill. When you did the partnership firm accounts, there at the time of admission of a partner, retirement of a partner, and then the death of a partner, at all such situations you need to value the goodwill. Then we also studied this aspect of the goodwill in valuation of fixed assets, accounting standard 10. Now of course, all the intangible assets accounting got shifted to a new standard on intangible assets. And then you got this concept of the goodwill even when you did the company accounts with the amalgamation, business acquisitions. There also you studied what is the concept of the goodwill. What is the concept of a goodwill? Now, having studied so many places, this is more of a revision. This is more of a revision. And basically what goodwill you are classifying it into, goodwill is of two types. One is inherent goodwill and another is the purchased goodwill. Purchased goodwill is something which already we got used to when we studied this business acquisition or amalgamations. What is purchased goodwill? Whenever I am paying more and getting less, the difference between what I paid and what I got, that difference is a goodwill. If I am paying more than what I am getting, then the extra payment is towards the goodwill. So how you define the goodwill? Purchased goodwill. Purchased goodwill is the difference between the purchase consideration minus net assets taken over. Then the inherent goodwill part, which you have discussed there at the partnership. What is goodwill and why the newly coming partner need to pay towards the goodwill? There, try to understand there is a difference between the purchased goodwill and the inherent goodwill. If you say you have to pay for the capital loss, nobody will pay. Isn't it or not? Point here is, it is the extra earning capacity. Inherent goodwill, how you define? Inherent goodwill is the extra earning capacity. Since the firm has got extra earning capacity and the new partner is going to get a share in that extra earning capacity, he need to pay towards the goodwill is what we have understood when we did the partnership firm accounts. So now in the final you got a topic by itself, valuation of goodwill. Friends, this topic and its relevance will be definitely more in the days to come, because this topic earlier is not of a great relevance for the simple reason, in India at least, of course, we believed in the concept of historical costing. We believed in the concept of historical costing, and we are not visualizing about a situation of fair values being brought in all aspects in the balance sheet and all. So valuation we have definitely, even when we prepare balance sheet in India also, but more we are concerned with the historical cost concepts. But today, entire world with IFRS coming in a big way, where we have to converge ourselves, there the fair values and valuations will have a greater relevance. So once you are thinking about fair value valuations and all, valuations are definitely will be of a greater relevance for tomorrow's auditor, because unless you show some interest on how the valuations gets carried out, tomorrow you are signing a balance sheet stating that everything is true and fair. See, today, in case if the scope for manipulation or window dressing is 10%, in the tomorrow where fair values are coming in a big way into our balance sheets, definitely unless you are good at how the valuations gets carried out, it would be difficult for you to certify the balance sheets. So with this practical relevance that this topic has got in future also, learn the concepts properly. Now goodwill as a topic independently I am going to take up, and then valuation of the shares. Of course, we have the another concept called as a valuation of business and a valuation of assets. Try to understand. Today, what is the concept of valuation of assets? What is the purchase cost and all other costs which you incurred prior to the asset being ready to put to use. This is what under the historical cost. When we talk about fair values, what need to happen? That is, this asset in future, what it is going to earn, what are the cash flows that are going to come in future, what are the net present value of those future cash inflows based on that valuation. That's one method of ascertaining the fair value. So asset valuations also we are going to take up. Now to start with, valuation of a goodwill. Of course, from what we know, we should start our travel to know what we don't know. This is the process of learning. That's the reason why every time if a concept of PE2 or PCC comes, we are revising it and moving into the things. See, valuation of goodwill, when you have this concept in your partnership, there you learn that there are 4 methods of valuation of goodwill, and there are 3 methods of accounting for such goodwill. What are those 4 methods that you learned? One is the purchase of average profits. Second is purchase of super profits. Third is the annuity method. Fourth is the capitalization methods. And what are the 3 methods of accounting? Premium method, when the new partner brings the cash towards his share of goodwill. Second is revaluation method. Third is a memorandum revaluation method. Of course, there we learn that goodwill being an intangible asset, and in case if it is inherent, you are not paying it. If it is an inherent goodwill, immediately you have to write off. Even if you raise in the books, immediately you have to write off. That is the reason why what we said, revaluation method now lost its relevance. Because under revaluation method, what will happen? New partner will not bring any cash towards his share of goodwill. You are raising the inherent goodwill and showing the same in the balance sheet, which goes against the standard. Standard says what? Inherent goodwill, even if it raised in the books, should be immediately be written off. Only purchased goodwill should appear in the balance sheet, and that also need to be written off at the earliest, say a maximum of 5 years. and if more time is required for writing off of the goodwill, you need to justify by giving the reasons. This is what we have studied there at. Now then, what is here in a valuation of a goodwill? Here only elaborately, logically, conceptually you are going to learn what is valuation of the goodwill and the different things which are there, like future maintainable profits, capitalization rate, how you are going to look at and what factors you have to take into consideration, weighted average or simple average, what is it, under what circumstances and all. So take a brief notes on a valuation of a goodwill. Valuation of a goodwill. First, definition. Definition. Point number 1. Goodwill is the excess. Goodwill is the excess earning capacity. Excess earning capacity of the enterprise. Of the enterprise in comparison with other enterprises of similar nature. Other enterprises of similar nature. This is one way of looking at goodwill. The second way of looking at the goodwill is point number 2. Goodwill is the excess value of business. Goodwill is the excess value of business as a whole. Over the aggregate fair value of individual or are separable net assets. What do you mean by net assets? Assets less liabilities. Assets less liabilities. So, by looking at these two definitions will give rise to two methods. One is super profit method and another is the capitalization method. Friends, we have 4 methods, but here the concentration is on 2 methods. Of course, earlier also when you have 4 methods, 3 will be categorized into one category, 1 is another category. Whether you say purchase of average profits or purchase of super profits or capital annuity methods. These 3 thrust is on what? Profitability. Profit is the main factor that is considered in these 3 methods. Whereas in capitalization method, the concept goes by valuation of business. That is what you are asked to do under the capitalization method. Value of the goodwill is equal to value of the business minus, what is it? Minus capital employed is the point. Now, write down methods of valuing goodwill. Methods of valuing goodwill. Number 1, super profit methods. Number 1, super profit method. Number 2, capitalization methods. Number 2, capitalization methods. See. Now, how do you look at the super profit method? How do you look at the super profit method is, see, originally we started the dialogue with what? Purchase of average profits. What you are asked to do? You are asked to see the past 3-4 years profit, and you are asked to make an average. Of course, that average, is it simple average or is it weighted average, depends upon the fact that in case if the profit shows continuously increasing trend or decreasing trend, go for the weighted average. If the profits are not either continuously increasing or decreasing, then you go for the simple average. And what you used to do, you make the average profits, and you are going to expect how long these average profits are going to continue, 2 years or 3 years, whatever it is. And you used to say that many number of years into average profits will be the value of the goodwill. But why that method is challenged? One intelligent person asked a question saying that you are saying that the value of the goodwill is the number of years of purchase of the average past profits. But why I should accept that the value of the goodwill is number of years of purchase of the average profits? Whether I am going to join with you in your business or I am going to join with somebody, I am going to get some profit, which is called as normal profit. For your industry, what is the normal rate of return? For my capital which is being employed, that normal rate of return will definitely come whether I join with you or with others. Then why I should pay the goodwill to you? So you please change the definition of the goodwill. Goodwill is not purchase of average profits. You tell me how you are going to justify the goodwill presence. Only when you have extra earning capacity, I have to pay for the goodwill. What do you mean by extra earning capacity? What are your actual profits? What are the normal profits? Let us suppose you got an actual profit of 3 lakhs. You employed what you call 10 lakhs of capital. For any person in this industry, normal rate of return is 20%. 10 lakhs into 20% is what? 2 lakhs. Whereas your profit is what? 3 lakhs. So I accept that you have got extra profit of 1 lakh. And how long this extra profit is going to continue? Estimate and tell me. Those many number of years of for which this extra profit is going to continue, that we will call it as the value of the goodwill. Like that we moved from the concept of purchase of average profits to the super profits. So in the super profits, what is the value of the goodwill? Number of years for which these super profits are expected to continue multiplied by super profits. How do you get the super profit? Super profit is nothing but the actual profit minus normal profit. What do you mean by normal profit? What is the average capital employed multiplied by the normal rate of a return is the point. Then when we go to the capitalization method, how do you look at the capitalization method? Value of the business minus capital, average capital employed. How do you calculate the value of the business? How do you calculate the value of the business? What are your average profits? That you are capitalizing with the normal rate of return. That is average profits divided by normal rate of return into 100. Let us suppose, continuing with the same example, 3 lakhs is your average profits. Let us suppose 20% is 3 lakhs is your actual profit, and 20% is a normal rate of return. 3 lakhs divided by 20, you please. 3 lakhs divided by 20 into 100 makes it to 15 lakhs. This is your value of business. For this normal rate of return of 20%, for you to get this 3 lakhs, your value of the business should be what? 15 lakhs. 15 lakhs into 20% only makes to 3 lakhs. Whereas what is the capital that is being employed? Only 10 lakhs. That means extra is the intangible asset presence. That is nothing but the value of the goodwill. So value of the goodwill under capitalization method, how do you look at? Value of the business under capitalization method is equal to value of the business minus capital employed. Value of the business is nothing but the actual profits divided by normal rate of return will give you the value of the business. Like this. And of course, annuity method, what is that methodology? After you ascertain the super profit, what you are doing? You are multiplying with the number of years for which this super profit is expected to continue. But then the concept of time value of the money came into place. Yes, this year I am going to get 1 lakh extra profit. Next year 1 lakh, next year 1 lakh. But what 1 lakh has got purchasing power of this year, the 1 lakh which you are going to get extra profit in the third year will not have the same purchasing power. So you need to discount the what you call the future super profit inflow, and that you will do with the at what rate? At the rate which is given, discount rate. So that discounted value of the super profit is nothing but the value of the goodwill under which method? Annuity methods. Write down. Super profits. Super profit is the difference between actual average profit minus normal profits. What is normal profit, friends? Normal profit is equal to average capital employed into normal rate of return. Now value of goodwill is equal to number of years of purchase multiplied by super profits. Then value of goodwill under capitalization method. Under capitalization method, what is that, friends? It is value of the business minus average capital employed. Value of the business minus average capital employed. Then what do you mean by value of the business? Value of the business is equal to actual profits divided by actual average profits. Divided by normal rate of return. Value of the business is equal to actual average profits divided by normal rate of return. That gives you what? Value of the business. So what we said, under capitalization method, value of the goodwill is equal to value of the business minus average capital employed. And what do you mean by value of the business? Actual average profits divided by normal rate of return. Now, with all this, by now you are clear with one point. You need to know what? Number one, what is normal rate of return? Number two, what do you mean by average profits? What do you mean by future maintainable profits? Future maintainable profits. See, whenever we say average profits, that is only expected future profits. This average profit is expected to continue in future. Of course, average profits and future maintainable profits differs in which situation? In case if the business is carried on under circumstances and situations which are significantly differing from what they will be in future with what they are in the past. So certain adjustments are warranted for what? Certain adjustments are warranted for the average profits. Average actual profits, certain adjustments are warranted to find out what is the future maintainable profits. So also normal rate of return, certain adjustments may be warranted. Similarly, for the capital employed, certain adjustments needed. So what all those adjustments and why we do such adjustments is the most important thing. At the final stage, why you are doing that adjustment, you need to know. See, friends, try to understand this concept. We might also learned in our PE2 by saying that 4 adjustments we are looking at. What are those 4 adjustments? Let us suppose there is an expenditure in the past which is no longer going to be continued in the future. To that extent, past profits you have to add. Like what? Let us suppose A and B are carrying on the business. They got C as their employee, who happens to be a pharmacist. Now, they are paying the salary to that pharmacist. At a later date, they want to take Mr. C as a partner. Then there is no need for the firm to pay the salary to him. Similarly, so far in a rental premises, the business is carried. In future, the firm is going to acquire a building and run the business in its own building. Then rent, which is an expenditure in the past, is no longer going to continue in the future. Similarly, if there is an income in the past, which is no longer going to continue in the future, to that extent, past average profits requires an adjustment. Similarly, there is an expenditure in future which is not there in the past. Then you need to reduce the profits. If there is an income that is going to come in the future which is not there in the past, to that extent you need to add. Similarly, past year profits got affected because of a strike or lockout or whatever it is, because of an extraordinary event. This particular extraordinary event is not going to continue in future. So, you have to adjust the profits, eliminate the effect of such a extraordinary extraneous items, and find out what will be the future maintainable profit. So these are the issues we have. One after the other we will take up. Take this. Factors for valuing the goodwill. Factors for valuing the goodwill. Number 1, super profit methods. Factors for valuing. Number 1, future maintainable profits. not super profit. Number 1 is future maintainable profits. Number 2, capital employed. Number 2, capital employed. Number 3, normal rate of return. Normal rate of a return. Now make the side heading future maintainable profits. Future maintainable profits. Goodwill is recognized as. Goodwill is recognized as an asset. Friends, what is the definition of an asset? When you studied in your CPT or P1, how you defined an asset? Asset is something from which earnings are expected to come in future. What is the difference between expenditure and the asset? In both these cases, cash outflow is there. But when you call it as an expenditure, when you call it as an asset, once you incur the expenditure, once you call a particular outflow as an expenditure, benefit is going to come. If that benefit is confined to 1 year, you call it as an expenditure. If the benefit is going to be spread over the several years, then it is called as an asset. That is the reason why we say what? Whenever the future benefit is not expected, immediately write it off. Because once future benefit is not expected, we should not continue it to be shown as an asset. Whenever we say something is asset, it is expected to give the future benefit. So that is the point. If somebody says that you are an asset to this organization, means what? The organization is going to get the future cash flows by your presence. You are an expenditure for this particular organization, means what? Benefit is coming, but it is only confined to one particular financial year, then it is an expenditure. Take it. Goodwill is recognized as an asset which enables, excess earnings, which enables the excess earnings. The valuation of the goodwill is a prospective in nature. The valuation of the goodwill is prospective in nature, and hence is a function of future maintainable profits. Hence is a function of future maintainable profits. Now, methods of determination of future maintainable profits. Methods of determination of future maintainable profits. Number 1, extrapolate the past profits to the future. Extrapolate the past profits to the future. Number 2, of course, before number 2, you just make a note. It is a preferred choice. It is a preferred choice as past profits represents firm's operating efficiency. Past profit represents the firm's operating efficiency. Then second situation is draw a business plan, and estimate the future profits. Estimate a future profit. Note, this choice is adopted in the following situations. Situation 1, when it is a new business. Number 2, it is a business where past profit is not considered, to be representative for the future. Then you have to go for what? Drawing a business plan and estimating the future profits. Then steps in computation of future maintainable profits. Step 1. A. Select the periods for which past profits have to be considered. Select the periods for which past profits have to be considered. That means what? When you make average, how many number of years of past profits are to be considered is what first you have to decide. B. The past period selected shall comprise the business cycle. Friends, I think all of you know what is a business cycle. What is a business cycle? See, today we started a business. It is not that tomorrow you get the profit. It's a travel by itself. Anything for that matter. Initially, you will be incurring losses. Slowly, you will get into the break evens. Slowly, you will get into the profitability. Slowly, you will be raising that profitability. And meantime, what will happen? The product will lose its demand. This is a natural thing to happen. Most of the time, a particular product will have utility for 10 years. Of course, in a service sector, 15 years. Let us suppose tomorrow you started practice. What is the concept of the practice? First 5 years, you will be struggling to establish your practice. Next 5 years, you are going to improve the practice. So 10 years struggle. 5 more years, you will enjoy the benefit of it, so that the cycle gets completed. How the cycle gets completed? By the time one generation gets over, see, let us suppose today you give me an opportunity between the two doctors. Will I prefer to go to a doctor who is a doctor for my father, or will I go to a doctor who is of nearby my age? Yes, the answers could differ, but most preferred choice always in a consultancy service is what? To go to a person who can understand our problem. Who can understand our problem? Who is also passing through the same phase. Generally, who will be the what you call ventilator? Ventilator should always be, every human being should have a ventilator. Ventilator always should be the of the person of the same age. That's what I am saying. Like whether it is a service sector or a manufacturing sector, there is no situation called as lifelong this product has got utility or lifelong the service got its utility. There is a business cycle. That's the reason why entrepreneur should always try to see that in order to be with good spirits for the opportunities which the environment is giving us. Don't think and sleep that today I got a good product or a good service mechanism, good model, so I will happily sleep. That should not be the case. And more particularly, danger comes with a single product, single service. Then there is a lot of risk with which you are operating. That is what the concept of the business cycle. So, what the profits that you are selecting, they should represent one particular business cycle relating to. So, the past profits selected shall comprise the business cycle. Then C is in case of new enterprises. In case of new enterprise, recent year profits may be considered. In case of new enterprises, recent year profits may be considered. Why recent year profits are to be considered? Because in case of new enterprises, what will happen, as I already explained, in the initial years there will be losses. So, you only consider the recent years. Then step 2. Adjustments to the profits. Adjustments to the profits. Adjustments to the past profits. Adjustments to the past profits. A. Profits only for those years. Profits only for those years with normal activity. With a normal activity. In other words, profits of the years of abnormal activity, profits of the years of abnormal activity should be excluded. Should be excluded. Example, lockout, comma, strike. Lockout, comma, strike. Then friends, point number B. Profits considered shall be. Profits considered shall be operating profits. Profits considered shall be operating profits. This is also most important thing. Because after all, goodwill, you are looking at extra earning capacity of the business. So, non-operating profits or losses like profit on sale of investment, loss on sale of investments, and investment income, all these do not represent the operating profits. Of course, you are all final students, you know pretty well, in cash flow statement also you have made the bifurcation of activities into 3 activities: operating activities, financing activity, and investment activity. So, if your profit includes in it any income or the profit attributable to the financing or investing activity that requires exclusion. Because for valuation of the goodwill, most important thing that should go into your mind is it will be done on operating profits only. Then in other words, non-operating items of income or expenditure should be excluded. However, non-operating items which are recurring in nature should be considered. Then point number C, income from investments. Basically, investments are classified into what? Trade investment and non-trade investment. What is it? Trade investment and a non-trade investment. I think all of you got the clarity as to what is a trade investment and what is a non-trade investment. What is a trade investment? See, it is not like this. The one which gets traded in a recognized stock exchange is a traded investment. The one which is not listed is a non-trade investment. No, that's not the point. See, when you are doing a business, sometimes certain investments need to be made. That we call it as a trade investments. Like what? You need to keep some deposit with somebody. Such kind of things you call it as a trade investments. Security deposits. See, you are doing a contract business. Then they may ask for the bank guarantee. And bank guarantee apne aap aa jata. You have to take a cash and get a deposit, and over that, what you call taking that as a security, they are going to give you this thing. Or you may need to keep huge amount of your deposit money with the supplier of the goods. On that deposit may carry some interest. Like that, as a trading obligation, let us suppose you want to open a petrol pump, petrol station, filling station. You need to deposit with government lot of money. So any investments you are making out of a trading obligation will be classified as a trade investments. And what is a non-trade investment, friends? When you have surplus money which is not being invested in the business, which is invested outside, that is called as a non-trade investment. That's called as a non-trade investments. When people will invest outside, they are doing a business. Why they need to invest outside? When they got surplus money. Of course, that is one reason. There could be many other reasons also, like depreciation, sinking fund method you are having. There also an amount equivalent to the profit set aside will be invested in outside flexible, what you call immediately realizable, marketable investments. Why you are not putting that money inside the business itself? If I put inside the business, by the time that asset is required, I may not be able to, what you call liquidate that particular money and invest. Like that, many reasons could be there for investment. Similarly, where I have got an opportunity where rate of return is more than what the return rate which I have in my business, a part of my money I may be making investment. This all comes under the non-trade investments, because this is what the clarity you need to have once you say I am a final student. Other way around, there is no difference between you and a CPT passed student. This is the biggest day, what you call trauma phase we are passing through in the profession. Right? PE2 finalist and CPT article. दोनों में फर्क क्या है पूछ रहे वो लोग. तब certain concepts you need to have more clarity. That is where the difference comes. Not only for senior junior situation, even otherwise also, as you move into the final, even if by any reason you missed a particular concept which you should have studied otherwise in PE2, now you take it and read it to see that you get a conceptual clarity. Right, back to the point. Income from investments. Number one, trade investments hyphen to be considered. That is, income from trade investments can be very well be considered. Whereas income from non-trade investments not to be considered. Non-trade investments not to be considered. Then friends, next point. The profits for the periods considered, should be comparable. That is, profits prepared by adopting uniform accounting policies. Friends, on all these points, one problem is waiting for us in the problem section. Next, step 3. The profits ascertained above should then be extrapolated. Extrapolated means what, friends? Projected. Now, when you need to go for simple average, point number 1. Fluctuating profits, simple average. Profits with increasing or decreasing trends. Then weighted average. Of course, friends, how to allocate the weights? Always based on this factor which will influence the future profits. What are the factors that are going to influence the future profits? Based on that, you have to consider the weights. But here what we generally do is, for the most latest year you get the highest weight, and the earlier years you get a lesser weights. So 2005 to 2008 means 2005 is getting weight 1, 2006 is getting weight 2, like that. But in reality, weighted average means what? You have to consider all the factors which are going to influence and those factors influence on the profits. Based on that, you are going to put the weights is the point. Write that. Weights adopted shall be based on their influence on the future profits. Based on their influence on the future profits. In the absence of the information, adopt the weights based on number of years. Then give the least weight to the earlier years. Give the least weight to the earliest year. Give the least weight to the earliest year and highest weight to the recent years. Then of course, friends, try to understand in this future maintainable profit, there is a trend equation concept also. But generally in the examination, we don't find that a trend equation method. In case of trend equation method, what is it? In your childhood, you might have studied a concept. This concept in 9th class or 10th class, this trend equation method is there. Y is equal to ABX, Y is equal to A plus BX, where B is the slope, like that you studied. On x-axis you put one factor, y-axis you put another factor and draw the lines, and thereby you can for any given number of years you can estimate the profit like that. So there is a trend equation. So you need not write all that, you can see very well from the PowerPoint what it is. That is, I quickly do that because from the examination point of view, I never find problems based on this. So, but notwithstanding that, knowledge wise you need to have it. So observe the PowerPoint there. What is stated? A trend equation, construction of a trend equation, and a trend equation gives relatively better estimation of the future maintainable profits because mathematically derived, but again you need to understand the time values and all. So there the equation that we need to develop is y is equal to A plus bx, where y is the estimated profit and x is the independent variable, that is time. First year, second year, third year, fourth year, like that. X is the number of independent variable, that is the time. Y is the A. A is the y-intercept. A is the y-intercept. What do you mean by y-intercept? Value of the y when x is equal to 0. So A is equal to nothing but the sum total of the y divided by n. And what is B? B is the slope of the trend line. And how do you get the B? B is equal to sigma, that is sum total of multiplication of x into y divided by sigma x square. Of course, this mathematics you have already got in your 10th class as well as in your CPT also. I am now leaving that to you. And there is a small illustration also which you can see from the PowerPoint.